Hello, welcome to Clover Kitchen. My name is Carol Hamilton. I'm a 4-H agent in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And today I'm going to show you one of my favorite recipes. It's a pecan cinnamon roll. And this recipe was handed down from my grandmother, and it was a tradition for us to eat these Christmas morning. So I like to eat them anytime, but it was traditionally a Christmas morning dish in my household. So we're gonna start first with some softened butter. You're gonna need half a cup, which is 1 stick. We're gonna go ahead and put that into our mixer. We're going to cream in half a cup of white sugar. And so I'm just using my paddle beater right now. We'll put that on a low speed. Once our butter and sugar is creamed together, it'll look something like this. You can see it on the beater. It's just all incorporated together. 2 large eggs and half a cup of milk. Now while that's incorporating, I have half a cup of warm water and 2 yeast packets, and I'm going to go ahead and get our yeast activated and ready to go in the dough. So add that to the warm water, and I'm just going to use a spatula to gently stir it, and we'll start to see this activate pretty quick. Yeast is our leavening agent, and so what it does is the yeast is going to consume some of the sugar in our bread, and its byproduct is carbon dioxide, which allows our bread to rise. We will allow our rolls to rise twice today, once for about 1 hour in one big ball of dough, and then again after we've formed them into our cinnamon rolls. So we can already see that our yeast is foaming up and it's starting to become activated. And I'm going to go ahead and pour that into our butter, egg, sugar mixture. And I'll scrape out any of the yeast that's stuck to the sides because we want that to work for us. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. Make sure that's level. That can go in our bowl. And then we have 4.5 to 5 cups of flour. And I'm going to just slowly incorporate our flour. And the reason it's 4.5 to 5 cups is depending on the humidity and the temperature. Our dough might need that extra flour to be the right consistency. So you kind of have to go by eye and make sure that it turns into the dough consistency that you want, which is elastic, a little bit sticky, but not too sticky that you can't work with it. And I'm going to put my dough hook on my mixer once I get this flour incorporated. So that was 4.5 cups, and I'm going to wait a second to see if I need that other half cup. It does look like it's going to be a little bit wet, so I'm going to go ahead and incorporate that other half cup to make 5 cups of flour today. I'm spraying my hands with cooking spray. And I'm going to turn off my mixer and raise it up. And I'm going to pull all the dough off of the flat beater. And the cooking spray just helps it from sticking to my hands too much. And I'm going to add a dough hook. If you don't have a dough hook, in my other video on yeast bread, when we did the rosemary bread, we knead that dough by hand. So you can also knead this dough by hand, but I'm going to use my dough hook today to speed up the process. And it's going to go on a medium speed for about 5 minutes of kneading. Before I put it down, I'm going to go ahead and scrape off all the sides to make sure everything is incorporated. And this dough hook will do the job of kneading for me. Okay, our dough has been on its dough hook for about 5 minutes. And I'm going to spray my hands with some cooking spray and go ahead and pull that dough off. I can use my scraper to get all the sides. When I pull the dough out, I'm just going to form it into a nice big ball and place it inside my glass bowl, which is sprayed with cooking spray, and I'm going to let it rise for an hour. The ideal spot for your dough to rise is in a warm, humid environment. So like our other video, we are going to create a proofing space or proofing box out of our oven. I'm going to put boiling water into a glass pan on the bottom shelf, and then my bowl of dough on the top shelf with a damp cloth draped over it. You can also do this in your microwave. You can put a cup of boiling water next to the bowl in your microwave and put a damp cloth on it. Or if you just have a warm, humid space in your house, if it's the winter time and you have a fireplace going, you can set it near the fire with that damp cloth on. So there's lots of options on how to proof. I like proofing in my oven. It's pretty consistent and I know it's going to work. So I'll check back in with you once our dough has risen. We're back. Our dough has risen for 1 hour. We can see that it has more than doubled in size. We've got all this nice carbon dioxide air in here. So we're going to punch our dough down, and then we're going to roll it out into a big rectangular sheet. And then we're going to put some butter, brown sugar, and cinnamon in to make our cinnamon rolls. So first step is punching our dough down. And that just releases all the carbon dioxide that is trapped in our dough. I can roll it out. And I put a little bit of flour on my counter. And I'll put a little bit of flour on my rolling pin. My rolling pin has some coconut oil on it too, to help prevent the dough from sticking. So we're just going to roll in all directions to start. So I have a pretty even dough level, about a 1/4 inch thick. The inside of our cinnamon rolls are going to have butter, brown sugar, and sprinkled cinnamon. So I usually start with about a 1/4 cup of butter, which is half a stick, and I've got some softened butter here. And I'm just going to start spreading it out over the entire dough surface. I have half a cup of brown sugar, and if you watched our measuring video, you learned that when we measure brown sugar, we want to pack it, and so it turns into like a little sandcastle. And I'm just going to start crumbling that all over. And you can either use your spatula again, or I like to use my hand for this, and just gently spread it over the entire dough surface. But I think we covered it pretty well. And our last ingredient for this step is going to be our cinnamon, and I'm just going to gently shake some cinnamon all over the dough surface. And then again, I can take my hand and kind of mix it all in to make sure we have a nice even spread. Okay, our next step, I'm gonna wipe my fingers off and then we're gonna roll up this dough. Rolling the dough, so pick one side. I usually pick one of the shorter sides rather than the long side to roll from. And I'm gonna start from the shortest side over here. And that way it gets completely rolled into our cinnamon rolls. And we're gonna try to make a tight roll, an even roll. And I like to use both hands. You can go as slow as you need for this. I'm just gonna roll. All the way until the end. I have a big, long cinnamon roll. A roll of cinnamon rolls. And I'm going to lengthen it out just a little bit by rolling it back and forth. So all the rolls are about the same size. And our next step is going to be to cut them into individual cinnamon rolls and place them in the pan. But before we do that, we need to prep our pan. So at the beginning of the video, I told you that these are pecan cinnamon rolls. So the pecans come into play in this next step. We're gonna line the bottom of a glass 9x13 pan with pecans, brown sugar, and butter. To prep our 9x13 pan, you're gonna need another half a stick of butter. This time it's gonna be completely melted, 1 cup of pecans, and half a cup of brown sugar. So we're just gonna pour our melted butter all over the bottom of the pan. And then we're gonna sprinkle our cup of pecan halves all over the pan. And I might even add a couple more to cover the whole bottom. It all depends on what you like. I really like pecans. And you could use chopped walnuts, or if you don't like nuts at all, you can leave the nuts out. My sister likes it better without the nuts, but she's crazy. I'm just kidding, she's not crazy. And then we're gonna sprinkle or crumble our half a cup of brown sugar all over the bottom of the pan. And this kind of works like a pineapple upside down cake. So when the rolls are done, we're gonna flip the pan over and the pecans are gonna be on top and the brown sugar and butter is gonna kind of melt all over the cinnamon roll. So now that our pan's ready, we can go ahead and cut our cinnamon rolls into about 1 inch pieces and place them in our pan. Make sure they look nice and brown and go ahead and place them into our pan. And we can place them pretty close. They are going to rise again, so leave a little bit of space. I'm gonna put it 3 in a row. Here's our finished pan. I'm gonna let it rise for another 45 minutes in my proofing oven, and then we will cook them. Our rolls have risen for the second time, and they're about to go in the oven. We've got our oven set at 375, and we're gonna put them in for about 30 minutes.